Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the University of Texas at Austin Paralegal Certificate Program Paralegal Space Walkthrough Webinar. That is a mouthful. My name is Stephanie Plowman. I am the program coordinator and poster of many, many announcements. So it is nice to meet you via webinar, and thank you so much for attending this walkthrough tonight. Just a couple of housekeeping matters to start off with. This system is very, very sensitive, so everybody is currently on mute. If you do have a question, and I am ready, willing, and able to take any questions you may have as we go through things this evening, please do type your question into the question box that you see on the GoToWebinar system. Those questions will pop up on my screen, and I will be able to address them. But I've spent a lot of webinars with dogs barking in the background and all sorts of craziness, so I've found that the easiest way to handle things is to just mute everyone and handle any questions via typing. All right, so it's spring break. Thank you for being here with me this evening. Hopefully you have had an opportunity since you received your login information on ParalegalSpace to click around the site and see what's there, but I want to ensure that you are comfortable with everything that's there and fully aware of all the resources. So let's get started. All right, so we are going to log into the site slowly but surely. Okay, now this first page that you see is your workspace, and there are only two things that you are going to do on your workspace. The first one is under the Account tab. And this is where you are going to check to ensure that the email programmed into the site is the one that you would like to use for paralegal-related emails. As you have probably noticed, every time we post an announcement, you will get an automatic email notification with the body of that announcement. So we want to ensure that you don't miss any important information. So please do check your email here and make sure that it is correct. This is also where you can change your password. So by clicking on Modify Details, you will be able to enter your current password, which is the default that I sent to you, and then create and verify your new password. Once you're all ready, you'll click on Update Details, and you will be good to go. Now, if you ever have a problem logging into the site, if you ever receive an invalid login message, there is no reset password button on the initial login page of ParalegalSpace. So you will have to reach out to me and ask me for a reset. It's probably one of the easiest emails I get in life. So unless I'm away from my computer for some reason, I will respond to you pretty quickly. Obviously, I don't want anyone to be locked out of the site for any period of time. So I will take care of that quickly for you. And of course, as I've posted, I think in several emails, my email address is svp@paralegalspace.com. So hopefully pretty easy to remember. All right, the second thing that you are going to do on your workspace is under the Preferences tab. And this is where you are going to update your time zone. So you're going to click on Preferences and then the link for time zone. Now, this program is taught at universities around the country and everybody uses ParalegalSpace. So our tech team told us that we all needed to start off on the same time zone and adjust from there. Now our tech team is on Mountain Time. So everyone is starting off on Mountain Time, but you guys are going to want to switch over to US/Central. So I'm in New York, so I'm under US/Eastern, but US/Central. This is what you will want to choose. You want to be on the correct time zone because all of your exams and assignments are going to open on a specified date and time and also close on a specified date and time. So you want to ensure that you are not closed out of anything, any submissions, because you're on the wrong time zone. Okay, so those are the only two things you're going to do under your workspace. Everything else you are going to do under your Texas Spring 2016-2 link at the top of the page here. So as you can see, we like to communicate with you via announcement. I've already posted several announcements for you, so you may or may not be tired of me by now, but It is what it is. I'm sorry about that. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to click through each one of these tabs just so you can see where everything is. And I just want to check one thing well, no, I can do it on this side. I want to check one thing very quickly. I'm going to do it on this side because I have a sneaking suspicion I did not open up your practice assignment, which is no good because I want to go through the practice assignment with you. So let me make sure, okay, at least I opened your practice exam. I'm going to open your practice assignment for you right now on one of my many screens. Thank goodness for multiple monitors. But as we are waiting for me to do that, so under the syllabus tab, that is pretty self-explanatory. This is where you can find your main program syllabus. And as you can see in looking at the syllabus, it does set out every single reading, writing, exam assignment that you will have for essential skills from the beginning of the semester all the way to the end. You guys have a lot of nice built-in breaks here. So you already know from the beginning of the semester what you're going to do for the entire 4 months. So you can certainly gauge your time accordingly if you know that you have anything coming up that you need to focus on, and get some work done during your break. You can take care of that. Now you can see here on the right-hand side is just the schedule for your substantive classes. As you could see under the syllabus tab, your substantive law instructors will post his or her own individual syllabi with reading assignments. So you can expect that, shortly before classes start, you will see your next syllabus for procedures, which is going to come up next, and then of course contract law once we get to that. Now, the para-student tab is one that I like to go into in a little bit greater detail, so I like to leave it for the end, kind of a save the best for last kind of thing. So let's just keep going on to the announcements tab. And this is where you will find every single announcement and they're all posted by me. My goodness, I'm so prolific. Every single announcement that we posted from the beginning of the semester up until, even when the semester is over. Now, of course, when you are on your homepage, you will see the most recent announcements, the announcements from the last 30 days. But if you would like to review announcements that are older than 30 days, say 3 months from now, you want to take a look at my welcoming words from my welcome announcement on March 3rd, you can just click onto the announcements tab and pull up additional announcements by showing more in this drop-down box over here. So everything will be there for you. Okay, your grade book. It is empty now, but as the semester progresses, it will, of course, fill up with your grades. When a grade is posted, you'll get a notification that it's there, so you can just click into your grade book and take a look at that. All right, resources. At your leisure, I would recommend that you click through the resources tab. This is where we will post additional resources over the course of the semester for you for your classes. As you can see here, we have some initial folders for you, Essential Skills PowerPoints, another Essentials folder, Tort Law. This is also where you can find a direct link to your Essential Skills manuals if you have not yet received them or don't want to drag them around with you all the time. And look, an old webinar that I posted for your listening and viewing pleasure. And I'm going to be posting in tonight's webinar here. I'm going to switch them out. But I would recommend at your leisure, click through here, see what's available. It's all materials that your instructors and administrators feel will be helpful to you as you progress through the materials in your class. In your classes. We will, of course, add to the resources folder over the semester, so please do keep an eye open for additional resources posted. Okay, thanks to my second monitor and different browsers, I was able to post the assignment, the practice assignment that I like to walk all of you through. All of your assignments for the program will be posted on ParalegalSpace. You will submit them on ParalegalSpace, and then your grade will be posted for you on ParalegalSpace. So this is a practice assignment that you all can work through as many times as you would like. I would suggest you give it a try at least once just so you can familiarize yourself with assignment submissions. I always want students to give it at least one try before an actual assignment is due to be posted, because if for any reason you have any technical difficulties, those of course are always easier to troubleshoot when your assignment isn't due in 5 minutes. So please give this a try at least once. When an assignment is posted, and since I just posted this one, this is nice and fresh, you will see under recent announcements, and it's usually towards the bottom. I don't know why this is, but you will see an announcement that says assignment open date for whichever announcement. Now, this is the only announcement, these assignment open date announcements, that will not be emailed directly to the email that is programmed into the site. So this is why it's important to not only check your emails for announcements, but also when you log on to the site, be sure you just take a quick look over at recent announcements to see if there are any that for some reason weren't emailed to you, or to see if there are any open date for assignment announcements. So when you see that open date, that will be your cue to come on over to the Assignments tab and then click on the link for the assignment. Now, the first thing that you are going to want to take a look at when you are reviewing a new assignment is the due date. Not just the due date, but the due time. Now, obviously, this is a practice assignment, so I've set the due date way out. I mean, we're not even going to be, be thinking, well, hopefully you'll still be thinking fondly about the program, but certainly the program will be long over for you guys come December. But for your actual assignments, obviously, the due dates aren't going to be set out quite that far. But please pay attention to both the due date and time. Now, for two reasons. Number one, due dates are so important in the law. If a judge sets a motion schedule and you don't file your motions on time, the judge is not going to call you the next day to find out where your motion is. The judge is going to rule against you. But more importantly, more worryingly, the judge is going to rule against your client. So you want to get your work in on or before the due date in practice and in the program. Now, you also want to get your work in on or before the due time, this time that's set here. And this is where the time zone comes into play, why being on the correct time zone is so important. If you were to try to submit your assignment on December 3rd at 5:01 p.m., you would find that there would no longer be an active link for you to submit the assignment. You would not be able to do it. The assignment will close at 5 o'clock on December 3rd. So you want to get your work in before that due date and time. If you are late with the time and that active link isn't there for you to submit your assignment, you're going to have to reach out to us and ask for the assignment to be reopened, and we're going to question why you missed the due date. So no one wants that. No one wants to be cross-examined. So please do pay close attention to that. All right, now as you're moving along, you will see instructions for your assignment. But essentially what you are going to do is you're going to both copy and paste your work into this text box right here, and you are going to attach your assignment as a document. And it's just like attaching a document to an email, so no craziness there. But you're going to do it both ways. The most technical problems I see when it comes to submitting assignments are there's some copy and paste issues sometimes, depending upon maybe what browser you're using, or there may be some adjustments that we need to make on your end. So that's why, again, I suggest that you give a try with the practice assignment, and we can make any adjustments and do any troubleshooting prior to your first assignment being submitted. Now, once you have copied and pasted and attached your document, you are going to click in this honor pledge box that you've neither given nor received any aid on the assignment. All of your assignments, all of your work in the program is your own. There are no group projects, nothing like that. So you're going to click in the honor pledge box, and then you can go ahead and submit. Now, if you're not quite ready to submit, you want to save it as a draft and come back and take a look at it later. Save it as a draft. Just don't forget to submit on or before the due date and time. If you want to preview it first, see what it looks like on our end, You may do that. Again, don't forget to submit. But once you do submit, you will receive a message on the next page which says something to the effect of "Thank you for your assignment submission." Now, if you ever want to check to see whether you have successfully submitted an assignment, under the Assignments tab, to the right of the link for the assignment, you will see Status. And this is not started because I've done nothing with this, but had I submitted an assignment, it would say Submitted. Or if your assignment's in draft, it'll say In Draft. But then there you'll be able to confirm whether your assignment has successfully submitted in addition to that submission message you'll get. All right, so please do give that a try at least once. Some of the issues that students run into with copying and pasting is they'll lose formatting, there'll be some extra code sometimes, so it's just a matter of, working through it a little bit. But of course, I'm happy to work with you if you run into any of those issues. All right, also all done online, tests and quizzes. All of your exams are going to be done online. You can see the exam schedule for essential skills on your main program syllabus. For your substantive classes, you can expect within a couple of days after the conclusion of a particular class, your exam will be posted. You will have a 1-week window to take your exam, so you can take it at any time you want, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever works for you. But once you start the exam, you have to see it through to the end. You will have 1 hour, but for, I think, procedures and your comprehensive exam, you'll have 2 hours, but you will have 1 hour within which to complete that exam. So please be sure to be ready to take the exam. You can't click on the exam and start answering questions and 5 questions in decide that you really should have studied maybe negligence a little bit more and then click out and decide to take it again. No, you can't do that. You can only take it once, so be sure that once you click on that exam link, you are ready to go with your exam. Now, when an exam window opens, we will post an announcement letting you know the window for your tort law exam is now open. It will remain open until such and such a date and time. So that same time issue that we just talked about in assignments and when we discussed the time zone, that also comes into play for exams as well. Now, all of your exams are going to be closed book unless otherwise indicated in the announcement or in the instructions for the exam. So, please do adhere to the rules for exam taking, even though obviously there are no proctors, you're not taking the exam in class. The exams are structured in such a way that if you're spending all of your time flipping through your book, you're not going to finish that exam. And if you only get through, say, 40 questions of your exam, once you hit that 1 hour limit, the exam is going to close, the site is going to grade what you have answered, and you'll just get 0 points for the remaining questions. So it's really going to impact you negatively if you don't finish that exam because you're too busy looking for answers. So please do follow along with the rules that are set out for you on exams and that are set out in the Code of Conduct, which we'll talk about a little bit tonight as well. Okay, when you are ready to take an exam, when you see that announcement that the window is open and you're ready to go, you know all the elements of negligence, and you're ready to take that tort law exam or whichever exam you're ready to take, you will come into tests and quizzes and you will click on the link for the exam. Now you'll see the instructions at the top of the page, and when you're ready to start, you will begin assessment. Now this is just a 10-minute practice exam. You can take this as many times as you want. It's graded in the sense that the site auto grades it just so you can get a sense of how auto grading works, but it's not a grade that counts for anything. So please feel free to take this as many times as you would like. Again, just like the practice assignment, it is much easier to troubleshoot any technical issues you may be having when it's not an actual exam and when the clock isn't ticking for you to finish an actual exam. So, excuse me. Up here at the top, you can see the countdown clock. This can either be helpful or mocking. You can hide it or keep it if you would like. If you would like to hide it, just click on hide and that clock will go away. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to click real quickly through this exam just because there are a couple of exam functions I'd like to bring to your attention. And we're just going to see this one through. One of these days I'm going to set the exam so that C is actually the correct answer for every single question, but I just haven't had the time to do that yet. So we're going to choose our answer and then we are going to click on next to move to the next question. Each question is on a separate page. So we're just going to keep going, choose our answer, and then click next. Now, let's say you come to a question and you're not entirely sure what the answer is. You think it might be C because we think everything is C, but you want to come back and take another look at it before you submit your exam for grading. So you're going to click on Mark for Review, check off that Mark for Review box right there, and then click on Next and keep moving through the exam. Now let's say you get to another question and you just honestly have absolutely no idea what the answer is. You don't even want to wager a guess. You're not going to answer it at all. You're going to mark it for review and you're going to keep it moving. All right, so let's just keep going until we get to our last question. Now we're at the end of the exam. It's time to submit for grading, except we have marked some questions for review. Now, you do not have to scroll back through the entire exam. That would take forever. This is only 10 questions, but all of your other exams, but for your comprehensive exam at the end of Essential Skills, will be 50 questions, generally multiple choice, true, false. So if you've marked question 1 for review, obviously you don't want to click all the way back. You're going to click on Table of Contents, and then you're going to click next to this little arrow, Part 1, and every single question in the exam will come up as a direct link. If you have marked a question for review, there will be either a little red arrow or a little red question mark or a little red arrow next to it. You'll click on the link for the question and you'll go right back to it. Now, if you want to change your answer to a question, you're going to change that answer. Click on Save. Save this time, not Next. Once you've gone back via Table of Contents, you want to click on Save to lock in your new answer. You'll unmark for review, and then you'll go back to Table of Contents, and let's go back to that list to see what else we have to answer. So let's go to this question we did not answer. We'll answer it now. We're going to save to lock it in. We don't have to unmark for review because for questions that were unanswered, there will be no check mark in there. It's just for the questions that you answered and questioned. So that one's answered. We've saved our question. We'll go back to Table of Contents and just do one last minute check to make sure. Now we're ready to submit for grading. The site will ask you if you're sure you're ready to submit, and yes, we are. Now, once you have successfully submitted an exam, you will get this "Thank you for your submission" message. This is substantially similar to the message you will receive when you successfully submit an assignment as well. Now, the day after, well, first of all, as soon as you finish your exam, the site will auto-grade it and post your grade in your gradebook. So as soon as you see this message, you can go over to your gradebook and you can take a look at what your exam score is. The day after the exam window closes, you can go back into the Tests and Quizzes tab, and under Submitted Assessments, you will see that feedback is open for that particular exam. So you'll click on the feedback link for the exam you took, and then you'll be able to review the entire exam. Okay, I went through that quickly. There was a lot to it. I'm going to post prior to your first exam, which will be your tort law exam, I'm going to post an online exams tip announcement because I love posting announcements, but I would like to post this tips announcement. I'll also post an assignment submission, helpful hints announcement as well prior to the submission of your first assignment. But I want you to have that information right in front of you on ParalegalSpace. So in the event you're having any kind of problems clicking through things, you will have those instructions right there in front of you. Obviously, if as you are working through the practice exam and assignment, you have any issues where you need technical assistance, please feel free to reach out to me. But I will be posting further announcements with, with some of the details about what we just went through. All right, moving right along, Westlaw and Lexis. If anybody was staring at their email this evening, they may have seen, you may have seen that you received a message from Lexis with your Lexis login information. I was working on your Westlaw and Lexis codes this evening, so you can expect to receive your codes for both Westlaw and Lexis within the next day or so. When they are available, once I put them together, and you already have your Lexis codes, they were sent to you directly via Lexis, but Westlaw does not send them directly. So what I'm going to do is put your codes in a Word document with instructions for accessing both sites, and I'm going to post those in your Dropbox on ParalegalSpace, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but you can expect those codes to come shortly. Now for Westlaw and Lexis, Westlaw, your access is good for the duration of the paralegal program. For Lexis, it is good for 1 year from your start date, so 1 year from last Tuesday. So even when the program's over, you can keep researching. Now, under both of these tabs, on the left-hand side, you can go directly to Westlaw or Lexis, and on the right-hand side, you can go directly, quite frankly, it's the same login page, but this is where you will go to access various training videos and support materials that both Westlaw and Lexis have on their respective sites. Now, you have access to Westlaw Next, which is Westlaw's new, not too new, within the last year and a half or so, updated database, and you will have access to Lexis Advance, also within the last year and a half or so, Lexis's updated database. You will also have access to the classic version of Lexis if you would like to take a look at that, but that is not going to be around for much longer. So we actually just received a letter recently that Lexis is going to be doing away with the classic version. So Lexis Advance is the one that you should be working through. But both sites have amazing support material on the respective sites. They have little, couple-minute videos that you can take a look at if you're having a problem searching for secondary materials. For instance, just as an example, you could look at a video for searching for such materials. But they really do have great starter guides and other materials on the site. So I do strongly encourage you to click around, take a look at those, and work through some of those. They are really helpful. With the updated versions of Westlaw and Lexis, legal research searches are more akin to a Google search than they were in the past. It's still more complicated than that, but it is a lot easier to kind of click around. But you do want to really, to the best of your ability, try to hone your research skills while you have this Westlaw and Lexis access now. In practice, they're very, very expensive. So if you are researching in a law firm, you want to get on and off Westlaw and Lexis as quickly as possible. Put in your search terms, pull up what's going to be helpful to your attorney, to your client, and then get off the site as quickly as possible. Because in practice, as you're researching and as the clock is ticking, the dollar signs are going up. And Westlaw and Lexis are very, very expensive in practice. You will only have access to one or the other in a law firm or in a legal corporation or wherever you are working as a paralegal. That's why you learn how to use both, because you just don't know what you're going to get in practice. But here in the program, as the clock is ticking, those dollar signs are not going up. You can spend as much time as you want on Westlaw and Lexis. This really is your opportunity to again, hone your legal research skills and get comfortable on both sites, but also get comfortable with what kind of search terms you're going to need to plug in to find what you're looking for. If you're working on a negligence case where there was a motor vehicle accident and you put into the search window motor vehicle negligence injuries, Westlaw and Lexis are going to come back to you and say, here are 1 million and plus counting cases for you to take a look at, or we can't even possibly begin to pull all the cases that are going to come up with these search terms. So this really is your opportunity to click around, play with both sites, work through some of the training materials that are available to you, and and get comfortable. So please do take advantage of that and be on the lookout for your codes because they're coming. All right, so speaking of the code, let's just talk about your Dropbox real quick. Let's skip down a couple tabs. Now, your Dropbox is where your instructors and administrators can leave documents for you, or you can file away documents for yourself. If you find a template on the site that you would like to keep close at hand so you can pull it up quickly, you can post it in your Dropbox. As far as we are concerned on the instructor and administrator end, the reality is the main thing that we post for you in your Dropbox are your Westlaw and Lexis codes. So when something is posted in your Dropbox, you will get an email notification, surprise, letting you know that something has been posted there. When I post your Westlaw and Lexis codes, you'll get that email notification, and then I will also post an announcement letting you know that they're available. But one thing that happens occasionally, even though we talked ad nauseum about assignments, is that sometimes students will submit assignments in their Dropbox. The problem is you're the only one who knows it's there. No one else knows that anything is in your Dropbox unless, we were to affirmatively take a look at it. So sometimes I'll hear from students saying, my tort law assignment wasn't graded. I submitted it on time. What's going on? And I'll take a look and see that that assignment was not posted under the assignments tab, but posted in the Dropbox. So please keep the Dropbox for things that you would just like to review for yourself, not for anything that you would like others to, to take a look at. All right, moving back up a little bit, messages. This is an internal ParalegalSpace email system that you may use. It has its pros and its cons, and there are a couple caveats that I want to share with you this evening. But when you are using this system, you'll, pretty self-explanatory, click on Compose Message, and then you will choose to whom you would like to write. Now, it's a great system if you would like to write to a fellow classmate and you don't know his or her email address, if you would like to write to one of your instructors or administrators and our email addresses aren't close at hand. But if you are using the system, all participants, that means everybody who has access to the site, students and instructors, instructor roles, of course, all your instructors, student role is every student. But basically what you'll do is you'll just click on the name of the person to whom you would like to write. If you would like to write to someone else, you'll hold down the Control key and click on your second person's name and so on. Now, the first caveat I would like to share with you in using this site is that please always click in this box right here. Send a copy of this message to recipient's email address. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it will ensure that any message that you write on this messages system on the site, a copy of it will also go to the your recipient's email address that's programmed into ParalegalSpace. Then they will be able to see right away that they have a message and what the body of the message is. If you do not click in this box, your recipient will not see your message until he or she next logs on to ParalegalSpace and affirmatively checks their messages here on the site. So, we're assuming that, you guys are going to be on the site every day, almost every day. I'm on the site almost every day, but, your instructors may not necessarily be on the site every day. So if you have an important question and you would like to get a pretty speedy answer, you want to ensure that your recipient sees that message right away. Now, when that message goes into your recipient's email address, to the email address into their inbox, the sender is going to come up as postmaster@paralegalspace.com. So your recipient is not going to be able to respond directly to your message from their email address. They are going to have to, again, affirmatively log onto ParalegalSpace and click into messages and respond from there. But certainly they'll know immediately that there is a message for them on the site, because we just don't want anybody to miss anything. So like I said, some pros and cons, but it is pretty helpful if you don't recall or don't know someone's email address. The rest of it, pretty self-explanatory. Give it a subject, type away, go ahead and send. But that is the Messages tab. Now, chat room. Chat room, no one started chatting yet, but you can. The chat room is here for you to use or not use however you see fit. A lot of students will get into the chat room right away and start talking about what everybody's reading and what's going on in class, and just kind of talking through the terms and concepts that that you're learning. Sometimes your instructors will go in the chat room and say, hey, if anyone has any questions, come on in. I'll be in the chat room on Monday from 8 to 9. The main thing that we ask of you in the chat room is that obviously you're kind, you're respectful, you're courteous. Please don't go crazy in the chat room. That's happened before, not at University of Texas. Everyone at UT is always so good, but it has happened before in another program. I found it very amusing, but I was alone in that assessment. So please do, again, be kind, respectful in the chat room. It is open, it's public, everyone can see what you're writing in there. In particular, when you log on to the site, it's all the way down here at the bottom, so I wouldn't see it right away, but when you log on to the site, you can see the most recent chat messages. So, we want you to use the chat room as you see fit. It is nice to kind of chat with each other and, bemoan the law sometimes. But, please know that no one is, lurking in the chat room or, regularly looking in it to see what you're all talking about. But if I, for instance, click onto the site and see in recent chat messages that anyone is expressing a concern with a site issue, or why isn't our tort law exam posted yet, or something like that, in that instance, I may intervene and try to troubleshoot right away so there's not any, outstanding issues. But otherwise, rest assured, no one's lurking in the chat room. Okay, Dropbox, we already talked about that. Study support help. This is another area of the site where you can get some additional help in all the terms and concepts that you will be learning over the course of the semester, and slowly but surely it will open up. Come on, help. Well, as we are waiting for it to get here, there is, okay, here it comes. There is an area where you can search. You can simply type in whatever concept you are having a problem with. So if you're having a problem with, say, hearsay, you can type in hearsay, and right underneath it will come up direct links with information about hearsay, or whatever concepts and terms are touching upon hearsay. When you click on that link, why is this not loading as quickly as it should? This may be something I will need to look into tomorrow. When you click on the link for whatever you would like to take a look at, over on the right-hand side, you will get an explanation of that concept. There is also a table of contents with the most commonly searched terms. Again, you can click on them, and over here on the right-hand side, an explanation will come up for you. And also there is a glossary, which is kind of an online legal dictionary. So you can click on the various terms and get a definition right below. Well, so I have no idea what, oh, here we go. All right, so contents, slowly but surely. Let's see, contents. Wow, that was kind of extra effort right there. All right, so your contents, you click on whatever you would like to take a look at, and you can see here over on the right-hand side, you will get an explanation. For search, you will type in what you want to search, and then anything relevant to that term will come up. You click on it, and over here on the right-hand side, explanation, and then under glossary, whatever term you click on, you'll get the definition below. Okay, so if anyone has a problem with that flash file, let me know. That was a little temperamental tonight, but it happens. All right, textbook orders. This is where you can find links to order your textbooks. Your essential skills books are a required purchase through the program, through this link right here, as they include tech fees for the website along with Westlaw and Lexis. But your other books you can get wherever you want. Hopefully you do already have your tort law book or it is on its way to you. For contracts, well, for procedures, you're going to be starting that in a couple of weeks, and then contracts, towards the end of the semester. So certainly you don't need to buy all of your substantive books right from the get-go, but you can purchase these books wherever you would like, new or used. Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, whatever works for you. You can also get the books, you can rent them, which is a great option I know students have started using. And you can also get Nook or Kindle editions. For torts and contracts, I'm not sure if for the procedure rules you can get a Nook or Kindle edition. Also, it's recommended that you purchase directly through the publisher for your procedures book. You want to make sure that you get the 2016 edition and not an older edition because, of course, the rules are updated each year, and while there may be only minor updates occasionally, you do want to make sure you have the correct edition. Okay, so now we're going to get to the big tab, the Para-Student Login Interactive Study tab. If anyone has any questions about all these other tabs that we just went through, and as we're going along, if you have any questions, please feel free to just type them in the question box, and I'll take them as they come in or at, the most reasonable time I can, come up for air and take a break from going through everything. But we're going to get into this Para-Student Login tab next, and then we'll do the Code of Conduct. But the Para-Student tab, this is where you can find all of the study support for the program. And this is really going to be one of the most important tabs for you guys. So the first thing I want to just point out to you is to take a look at your convenience and at your leisure about the facts, about the tracking module, because your time within the study support is tracked. You do need to log a total of 260 hours within the study support over the course of the semester. And sometimes when I do these in person, students just look at me like their mouths drop open, that seems like so many hours, but trust me, it goes very quickly, and you will want to utilize the materials that are within the support, and you will want to spend time within the support because everything in here is incredibly helpful. It builds upon what you're learning in class. It enhances the concepts. It explains the concepts. There are quizzes and mock exams and all sorts of things to just help you really get comfortable with the materials and with the foreign language of the law. Learning the law can be like learning a foreign language, and not just because there's a lot of Latin involved. It's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of speaking. It's a whole new lexicon and vocabulary, and you really want to get comfortable with that. And sometimes, repetition and working through the various materials, that breeds comfort and understanding. So please do work through the materials on the support, not because you're required to log 260 hours, but because it's helpful, because you want to get the most out of your paralegal education. You get out of the program what you put into it. So, please do work through these materials. Also, when I say it's a requirement in the sense that, in the same sense that going to class, submitting your assignments on time, taking your exams, participating in class, those are all requirements. It's not a program completion requirement. We will get into that once we discuss the Code of Conduct. So at the end of the semester, we're not going to look through everyone's hours and see, oh, so-and-so only got 259, they can't graduate. No, it doesn't work that way. But if you are having problems in the program, we will take a look at your hours and we will see where you are within the study support to see what maybe you're not putting as much work into things as you should to be able to fully understand the materials. So the bottom line really is don't get hyper-focused on the clock. Sometimes students will come to me and say, I was on the study support, I was logged into the study support for 3 hours and it only logged me for 2 hours and 55 minutes. Well, okay. I can manually adjust your hours on this end. It's not a big deal. Sometimes students will have some issues with their hours being accurately reflected. Sometimes it's really just a matter of refreshing your browser to, to be able to see the updated hours. But if, as you are working through the support, you feel or you notice that your hours aren't being accurately reflected, it's fine. Just let me know. I will work with you to make sure that doesn't happen moving forward, but I can also manually adjust your hours. We also, just the last thing I'll say about this is we also recommend that no matter what you're doing for the program, whether it be reading, researching, writing, just log into the support and, let that clock go, let it tick, and get credit for that time spent working. All right, with that monologue being done, yes, I just got a question. Yay, a question. All right, on the substantive, specifically the tort law tab, it required a password. Is this something that is provided through the site? Yes, I will show you about it. You only have to put in a password for the substantives and really only the first time you log in, unless you switch browsers. But we'll talk about that a little bit more when once we log into the study support. But as we're talking about passwords, look, there's another password right here. We seem to really like passwords here. All right, so the first time you're going to click on that blue lock. Let me just go back. You're going to click on this blue lock when you are logging into the study support. And the first time you do so, you're going to register as a Texas Spring Paralegal. So you'll click here to register. You're going to enter your name. God, I can't even spell my name. You're going to enter your, I have so many email addresses that I use. You're going to enter your email address, your password, and now you're going to select your university, which is, of course, UT Austin. And most importantly, you're going to select your program. So you're going to want to select UT Austin Spring 2016 on campus. This is your program. Click on I agree, and then you are going to register. Now, if for some reason you chose the wrong program, no problem. Just let me know, and I will switch you over to the U Texas Spring. You want to choose that program because you want to make sure you have access to the study support that you need for your program. So please do choose that one, and if you did not, that's fine. I will switch you over. Now you'll see here within the study support there is a forgot password link, so if you do forget your password, you can ask the site to send that to you. If for some reason you have a problem with that, sometimes those emails go into spam, so be sure you check your spam. But if you have a problem with that and you want me to pull your password for you, that's fine. I can certainly do that. All right, now we're going to log in. So one of the first things that I would recommend that you do is just click in the middle here on website features and take a look at the various features, how to use the study support on an iPad, things like that. So just, again, at your leisure, click around in here. But you will see at the top of the page, there are tabs for Essentials, Substantives, and Labs on Demand. So if we click on Essential Skills, you'll see above this picture, there are several tabs, segments A through F. Now the materials in Essential Skills are broken down by segment. You can see if you take a look at your main program syllabus that it does indicate whatever segment you are working in. So you can see here, these first couple of weeks you are in segment A, then you go into segment B, etc. So while you are working through this support, just be sure you are within the correct segment to match up to the materials that you are reading and discussing in class. So you'll click on the tab for the segment you're working in, and it'll tell you right away what it covers, Volume 1, Chapters 1 through 6. And the first thing I would recommend you do whenever you're getting started in the support for a new segment is just go click through this Getting Started area, see what it's all about, what you're going to learn, and just what it all has to say. But then basically what you will do is you will just click through each link over here on the right-hand side and work through the corresponding support. Again, as I mentioned before, it builds upon the concepts you're learning in class. It enhances them. It's a great review. It helps you understand them. So please do click through those. Once you are done with the support for a particular segment, there are 3 additional links right at the bottom underneath the last chapter link that you're going to work through. The first one is the segment wrap-up. And this is where you will find the first of the practice exams and quizzes that you can take to test yourself on the material that you learned in that particular segment. Now for these, you can take them as many times as you want. They're not graded, they're for your review, they're explanatory. They just really help you review the material and also pinpoint any areas where you may need additional assistance or where you're already an expert. Mock exams, just like the segment wrap-up, these have additional practice exams that you can take. Now, what we generally recommend is that you read the material prior to coming to class. Come to class and participate and listen to and participate in the lectures, and then work through the study support. But really, whatever works best for you, as long as you're working through it, you structure your study time in whatever way is most manageable, reasonable, and helpful to you. So if you want to do all the mock exams at the end of a segment, that's great. If you want to do all of them in anticipation of an exam and in preparation of an exam, that's great. Just know that there are a lot of resources available to you and that you should definitely work through them because they're helpful. Then you'll see there's this where you've been link. This is just for your convenience. You can use it or not use it, whatever you would like. But this is just so you can keep track of the support that you've worked through to make sure you've worked through everything for each chapter. Now, if you have worked through the support, this little red dot will be green. If you have not, it will be red. The one caveat I should tell you about where you've been is that that you need to have cookies enabled for where you've been to work properly. Sometimes I'll get emails from people telling me I worked through all the support of Volume 1, Chapter 4, and everything is still red. Well, you need to have cookies enabled in order for this to work properly. So if you would like to use this, and again, you don't have to, it's just for your convenience, but if you would like to rely upon this to keep track of where you've been within the essential support, please do make sure that cookies are enabled on your computer. Now, once you start getting comfortable in segment A, each one of the segments is set up in the same way. So, certainly by the time you get to segment F, you'll be able to do this walkthrough for me next semester. But basically, everything is set up in a substantially similar way. All right, with movie clips too, that's always fun. Like to keep it interesting. All right, for the substantives, and now we will get into the password question. And as you could see, for essential skills, there were no passwords for any of the segments, so you don't need to worry about that at all. But for the substantives, we recently moved the support over to a secure server, which is why there is a login. But you can see the login is provided for you right here, and you really only need to enter the login the first time that you log in within your browser. If you switch to a new browser and it's the first time, you'll have to enter it again. But it's right here. It's pretty easy to remember. So we're going to click on. Oh, I guess I've logged in already. That's exciting. Again, I've apparently logged in already. So we didn't have to enter those passwords, but paralegal and student are the passwords. And basically what you'll do once you get into the study support is just click on whatever chapter you're working on in the book and just take a look at the materials. So there's a chapter outline for each one of the chapters. So certainly if you don't yet have your tort law book, it's very helpful to just click through the study support here and certainly through the chapter outline, that's always so loud, and also the lecture hints, just so you can familiarize yourself with those materials. But you'll have the answers to the problems in the book, answers to the projects in the book, and at the end of each chapter, God, that's so loud, there will be a chapter quiz. So you can test yourself on the material and review it. Again, like the other quizzes, you don't get a grade for this. It's just for review and to pinpoint those areas that you may need a little more assistance on, or the exact opposite. Now, each one of the chapters is set up the same way, the same thing for contract law. We don't have the same structured support for Texas procedures as we do for torts and contracts, because each Texas procedures instructor develops his or her own curriculum. So your instructor will post additional resources for you, whether via the resources tab or announcements, to assist you in working through those rules. Now, one of the tech issues that will sometimes come up when students are working through the tort and contract law support is when you click on the tab for a chapter, you'll see that spinning wheel. Now, sometimes I'll get emails from students that say to me, I'm trying to log into the tort law support, and I've been seeing that spinning wheel for 25 minutes. Well, that's 25 minutes too long. As you can see, you'll see the spinning wheel for a couple seconds, and then the file will load. And I call it the spinning wheel. It has, because it obviously is, but it has a name. Someone told me the name one time, but I just quite simply refuse to use it because spinning wheel is so much more explanatory. But if you are seeing that and the file is not loading, the material is not loading right away, uh, don't wait around for it to load. It should load as quickly as you saw it load on my computer right now. If you are having that problem where the files are not loading, the simplest way to fix that is to switch browsers. I don't know why that fixes it, but it does. I use Chrome to access the site 99.9% of the time. But if I am running into a conflict where a file is not loading or something, I will switch over to Firefox. So if you are having a problem with files loading, please do make a browser switch, see if that rectifies the problem. Also, if you are having problems in general with the Flash files, you can see here at the top of the page, there is a link for the non-Flash version of the support. This is the exact same content, study support, in PDF. So if you're having problems with those Flash files, you can access the PDF versions. They're not as flashy and fun, pardon the pun, but it's the same content. So you're certainly getting the same material. All right, those are the substantives. One more tab with a couple more labs to bring to your attention. The first one is under Labs on Demand. The first one is the Legal Research Labs. And really the main lab that you are going to want to work through on here and take a look at is this Law Library lab. For Westlaw and Lexis, the labs match up to the classic versions of the site. So you want to utilize the tutorials and the materials directly on Westlaw and Lexis to familiarize yourself with those two sites. But the Law Library Lab, and if you went to an info session, you probably saw a lot of slides about the Law Library, but here it is in practice. This is an area of the site where you can familiarize yourself with the types of materials you will find in an actual law library, like the UT Law Library, where you will go, or on Westlaw and Lexis. So once you get started studying legal research in Essential Skills, you may want to click around in this law library to get a sense of where you're going to find the materials to include in your writing and to support your arguments. So basically what you'll do is you'll just click on a book in the stacks and the law library will find that book and bring up information about it. So over here on the right-hand side, you can read all about these particular materials. Click on these various links at the top of the page and the book will come up over here on the left. Click on the index and you can actually look in the book and see how the materials are organized and get information as to the best way to research in them. How to use the materials you find in your research, whether it's primary authority, secondary authority. Again, it all goes to being an efficient researcher. So please do click around in this law library just to get a sense, a sense of what you're going to find in the actual library and then what you're going to be looking at online on Westlaw and Lexis. Two more labs to show you, and then we'll go through the code real quick. The legal writing labs. This is where you can find templates for all of the writing assignments for your Essential Skills class. And over the course of the semester, your Essential Skills instructor will also be posting additional templates for you. So you will have more fodder to work from. But there's really no reinventing the wheel in the law. If you've drafted a summons and complaint in a motor vehicle accident case 6 months ago and a new motor vehicle accident case comes into your office, you're not going to start from scratch. You are going to take that old complaint. You are going to take out the old facts, put in the new, and have a nice draft to work from. So with that in mind, we have templates for you in the program. Again, you can find them here under the Legal Writing Lab, and also your instructor will post additional templates, and I know there are some in the Essential Skills folder under Resources. But basically what you will do is pick whatever document you are working on, click on the tab for that document, and you can see a template. And then over here on the right-hand side, you can get step-by-step instructions in drafting that document. So we'll choose the document we're working on. Right underneath, we can listen to an audio lecture. And then in the second drop-down box in the step-by-step guide, you can pull up all of the components that you need to include in that document. So please do take a look at these. They're really helpful. And again, there is no reinventing the wheel in the law. So please do utilize these templates, especially, if you don't have any legal background or experience, if you've never drafted a legal document in your life, it's hard not to have a starting point, a jumping off point. So, this is definitely a good way to jump off and, be comfortable with the document that you're drafting and that it includes everything you need. All right, the final lab, just put this one in your back pocket for when you get to citations in Essential Skills. Citation labs, this is where you can practice both reading and writing state and federal citations. Now, a citation is that series of letters and numbers that you'll see after a case name. It immediately lets you know, as soon as you look at it, it lets you know what court that was decided in, state court, federal court, what year, so you'll know whether this is a case you can use in your legal writing, and whether it's going to be mandatory authority because it's from within your jurisdiction, or whether it's going to be persuasive authority because it's from outside of your jurisdiction. So it's important to have an understanding of citations and to be comfortable with them, because you want to be able to look at a case and know what support it's going to bring to your legal writing. But you also want to write your citations correctly, because if someone is reading your brief or your motion, your legal writing, and they want to pull up a case you have cited, you want to have a correct citation in there. You don't want to lead them astray with an incorrect citation. So again, put this in your back pocket for when you get to citations and Essential Skills, but this is very helpful. It's both standard labs, lecture labs, interactive, all sorts of things. Okay, that is the site. I will, of course, follow up. I love posting announcements, so obviously I'm going to follow up with lots of announcements. Just again, pinpointing various things we've gone through tonight. We're going to talk about the Code of Conduct next, briefly, because I know you all read it, and on your first night of class, you were asked to submit that signature page. If you have not yet submitted the signature page to the Code of Conduct to Christina at UT, please have that ready for her on Tuesday night. We do require that you submit that page, that you acknowledge that you've read and understand the code, and that you will adhere to its provisions. But let's move over to the code. Obviously, if anyone has any questions about the site, and then as we're going through the code about the code, if you want to type them in, I will take them again when I come up for air, when it's most reasonable for me to come up for air. But let's get right to the code and just hit some of the high points. So, all right, attendance. You are required to attend class. For Essential Skills, you may not miss more than 25% of Essential Skills, or you will not pass the class. Now, that's a lot of Essential Skills classes. You have Essentials for the whole semester, so you have to make a real concerted effort to miss more than 25% of Essential Skills. If you miss more than 25% of a substantive class, so one class in torts, contracts or procedures, and then, into the second class or into the next class, you will not pass that substantive course. In addition, in all of your classes, it's important to be there because obviously we're hitting you with a lot of new and complex information, but certainly for your substantive classes, you only have 4 of each. So you are covering a lot of material in a really short period of time. And if you are missing a class, you're missing a lot of material. So you do want to be in those classes. Also, for your substantive classes, class participation counts for 25% of your grade. So you don't want your grade to be negatively impacted because you are not there. Now, with that being said, we understand things come up over the course of the semester. You may get stuck at work, you may be sick, you may have childcare issues, things happen. We get that. Please communicate with us. Let someone know. Let Christina at UT know. Let me know. Let your instructor know that you're having an issue getting to class. That will then, of course, be factored into, your class participation and the 25% missing class. It's when you don't communicate with us that, certainly you will be negatively impacted. So please do just communicate with us. Let us know if something is coming up and you won't be able to make it. All of your instructors are practicing attorneys in Austin, and you have a great group of instructors this semester, so you are in really good hands. But sometimes things come up. They may be stuck in trial. They may be in depositions. We don't know what they're doing outside of the program. So if that happens, please wait at least 30 minutes. If they are late, please wait at least 30 minutes to give them an opportunity to arrive in class. Now, generally, if an instructor is going to be late, and this has happened a handful of times over the years, if an instructor is going to be late, he or she will reach out to one of us, and either someone from UT will, come over and let you know in the classroom, or I will post an announcement for you on ParalegalSpace. But we certainly, to the extent possible, will let you know if someone is running late. All right, moving right along. For your assignments, now we already talked about how your work is due when it's due. All of your work must be submitted on ParalegalSpace, both copied and pasted, and also via attachment. Now, your work is due when it's due, date and time, but you do have a 1-week grace period after the assignment closes to still submit your work with a points deduction. So for a period of 7 days after your assignment is due, you may still submit an essential skills assignment. The first late assignment, you'll have a reduction of points, 10 points, the second 20 points, and then the third assignment will not be accepted. For tort law, you really only have one assignment, but to the extent there is a second assignment, it would not be accepted. But if you submit your work within that 1-week grace period for any of your substantive classes, you will have a reduction of 20 points. So please, again, to the extent possible, submit everything within the regularly scheduled submission date and time. You are responsible for submitting your work, and within, either the regularly scheduled submission time or that 1-week grace period. If after that 1-week grace period is over, you still have not submitted your work, we will simply post a 0 for your work. So if you have, an issue that's precluding you from submitting your work on time, again, communicate with us. Let us know. But if you simply don't submit your work and don't reach out to anybody, we are just going to post a 0. Unless you have a documented emergency or really, really good reason why your work was not submitted on time, that 0 will stand. So nobody wants that. As far as submitting your assignments, how to prepare them, just as you would submit an assignment in any other class. Please type them, double space, put your name on the paper, number the pages. For essential skills, please do keep hard copies of your assignments. You are going to put them in your client file folder, which your instructor will collect at the end of the semester and just take a look at and make sure that you are organizing it and putting things in there correctly and, nicely and neatly. If you did not receive a client file folder in your Essential Skills bundle, we will be sending there was an issue with the stock of the client file folders. So we will be sending a supply of client file folders directly to University of Texas to hand out in class. So I have a list of anybody who did not get that client file folder. So we will make sure within the next, probably within the next week or two, to get those to UT, and those will be handed out in class. But your essential skills assignments will be put in there. And in general, just please retain copies of your work, both digital copies and if for your substantive classes you would like as well, hard copies. I had a student once in another program who about a week or so after the program was over, her instructor realized that there was an issue with her contract law assignment submission. She had not copied and pasted her work into the text box, and she chose the wrong attachment to attach to the site. So it ended up being just like a couple lines, or it was the wrong attachment. So we reached out to her, maybe about 5 days or so after the program had ended, and brought that to her attention and said, hey, could you just resubmit your work? You got the wrong attachment. And she informed me that the program was over and she had deleted everything already. And my mouth fell to the floor. Listen, if you want to delete your files, you're more than welcome to do that. I still have files from when I started law school in 1998. That may be a little bit excessive, but certainly, unless and until all grades are in, don't get rid of any program-related materials. But this also goes back to why we require that you both copy and paste and attach. If she had copied and pasted her work, this wouldn't be an issue. So she had to rewrite that whole assignment. So that wasn't a very happy email or phone call I had to make. All right, anyway, grades for essentials assignments, give or take, will be posted within 2 weeks from the assignment due date, and give or take for substantives within a week. I say give or take because, of course, your instructors are all practicing attorneys, and we don't know what trial mayhem they may be engaging in outside of the classroom. As far as grading is concerned, for essentials, you have two components. The exam component. You will take 3 exams. Volume 1 and Volume 2 count for 25% each of your grade, and the comprehensive counts for 50% of your essentials exam grade. You need to obtain a 70% or higher in essentials exams. For your assignments, you also need to obtain a 70% cumulative or higher. Now, you need to get 70 or higher in both the exams component and both the assignments component for essential skills to pass essentials. If you write like Hemingway and get 100 on the assignments component, but just test taking is not your thing, and you get a 50 in test taking and the exams, you will not pass essential skills. So 70 for each component to pass. The breakdown for the essential skills assignment is down here. Obviously, a client correspondence is not going to be weighted as heavily as a trial brief. So this is how everything is broken down and how all the assignments are weighted. As far as the substantive classes are concerned, you will have one writing assignment worth 25% of your grade, class participation is worth 25%, and the exam is worth 50%. Also, you need to get 70% or higher in order to pass that substantive class. Now, if for some reason you don't get that 70% or higher, we will certainly discuss with you and will offer you the option of resitting. So hopefully that won't be an issue. But if you want to see what resitting is all about, you can take a look at this Rule 4A. All right, using ParalegalSpace, we talked about that before when we were working through the ParaStudent login link. Please check announcements regularly. Please log into the site. Please use the study support. Please be nice in the chat room. And again, if anyone has any Paralegal Space questions, technical questions, anything, please just reach out to me. I am more than happy to troubleshoot with you. Again, svp@paralegalspace.com is the best place to find me. All right, we're almost done. Communicating with your instructors. Your instructors will, of course, give you their preferred method of communicating with them, email, phone, whatever works best for them. Also, you can utilize the Messages tab that we discussed earlier. But please do give whoever you are communicating with in the program, whether it be an instructor or an administrator, at least 72 hours to respond to you. You'll get a response faster than that, and certainly over the weekend, give them until Monday, unless you advise that it's an emergency and you need immediate attention. But please, do give anyone you write to an opportunity to get back to you. We'll get back to you generally faster than 72 hours, but everyone is doing, just like you're doing things outside of the program, your instructors, your administrators are doing things outside of the program too. So just give us a chance to respond. All right, ethics and plagiarism. As I mentioned when we went through the submission of assignments, you are all required to do your own work. There are no group projects. If we find that work has been plagiarized, you will receive a grade of 0 for the first offense. The second offense, you will fail that program component, and the third offense is a third strike. You are out of the program. Now, not at Texas, in another program, we had instances where students submitted literally the exact same assignment and just changed their name at the top. Obviously, that's not okay. Another issue that came up in a program one time was that a student literally copied and pasted an entire article from a website and submitted that as the assignment. Unfortunately, it was a British legal website, so it was not responsive to the assignment question. But please do your own work, and please, if you are, if you're relying upon whatever articles that you find online or anything, just cite to it. You can copy and paste to an entire British legal website if you want, but just let your reader know that you are citing to an entire British legal website. Don't, of course, pass it off as your own work. And then as far as exams are concerned, we do expect you to adhere to all of the rules set out for exam taking. If it is a closed book exam, you will keep your book closed. So please do just adhere to those rules. And then finally, I hate having this conversation with a group of adults, but professionalism, for all the lawyer jokes that are out there, there's a code of ethics that lawyers need to adhere to, and those ethics flow down to their paralegals. Again, I've heard all of the jokes. I've been a lawyer also for a long time, so I get it. But it is a profession. It is a profession that requires a high standard of ethics, despite those jokes. So please do be professional, be respectful, treat others in the program as you would like to be treated. But please do be kind and respectful to all of your fellow students and your instructors. And then finally, no recordings of any time at any time in class. Okay, an hour and 17 minutes later, I'm done with this walkthrough. If anyone has any questions about anything we've gone through tonight, please do feel free to type them in that question box and I will address them. Obviously, as I've mentioned repeatedly, I am always available to answer any site questions you may have. So please do feel free to reach out to me whenever you would like at svp@paralegalspace.com, and I am really more than happy to help you. I want you to learn a lot. We all want you to learn a lot this semester. We want you to work hard. We want you to have a great semester. And we are here for you, the program administrators and instructors. We're here for you to assist you along the way. So please do feel free to reach out. Again, if you have not already done so, please sign this acknowledgement page and turn it in class next week when spring break is over. But if there are no questions tonight because I don't see any typing. If there are no questions tonight, I guess we'll call it a night. So if anyone has any St. Patrick's Day plans, you can certainly start them now. But I would like to thank all of you for your attendance this evening, for your participation, for your interest, for your attention for an hour and 18 minutes now. Have a great semester. I'm always here in the background via email if you need anything. So you know what? Work hard, have fun, and learn a lot. So thank you again for coming this evening, and I will see all of you on Paralegal Space. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.